Paul always suspected King Crab was more of a title than a name. And he wants to be the first human to bend the claw. Because one day, the crustaceans will rise, and only Paul will be spared. Foresight's a wonderful thing. Invest in innovation, including 3D printing, with OPTO.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of OPTO Sessions. Today we're excited to host Sebastian Schroetel, Senior Vice President of Product Management at UiPath. Sebastian leads UiPath Autopilot, which combines generative AI and specialized AI to enhance productivity and democratize automation across enterprises. Before joining UiPath, he spent over 16 years at SAP, where he held various leadership roles, including Vice President and Head of Product for application development, automation, and integration. Welcome to the show, Sebastian.
Welcome. Happy to be here, Ed.
UiPath got global offices. How is it structured?
Yeah, I mean, UiPath is right now active at around 100 countries worldwide. So we are a quite global company right now, and we operate in a very global and distributed manner. But of course, we have like many other software R&D companies. We have R&D centers. So we have centers in Europe, in Romania, in London, for example. I mean, UiPath was founded in Romania, but we also have other centers in India and in the US.
Brilliant. So I thought we could start because there'll be probably a number of people that might not know who UiPath is. So if we just give a quick overview of UiPath and how it's evolved to incorporate the latest advances in AI today.
Yeah, I mean, happy to. I mean, UiPath was founded in Romania, and it started 2005 only. So UiPath is not that super old company, I would say, compared to other IT companies out there. And it grew at the beginning. It was active quite locally, but it grew then at some point in time very quickly into a multinational company. The main products that made UiPath big is everything around automation, especially robotic process automation, as the term was before. But of course, UiPath, because automation is a general business problem, UiPath grew over the last years and grew its product away from just being an RPA vendor to be an end-to-end automation vendor that incorporates long-running workflows, that incorporates a lot of different styles of integrations. And yes, also UiPath is using AI since many years. And we started off using AI traditionally for digitizing documents, to also automate screens better, especially when it's screens that are, for example, in a Citrix. And yeah, we have pivoted just recently to Agentic Automation because we truly believe that AI agents can create a significant value in the world of end-to-end automation. And with AI agents, we really now have active components, I would say, that both interact with humans as well as interact with systems and with different data and functions in the tool. And this is what we call exactly our agent, and we incorporate them deeply into our platform.
So the agentic process automation, how is that specifically different to the robotic process automation? What is that pivot?
So, I mean, you can see it a little bit like two things that work closely together. It's not like agentic process automation replaces traditional automation approaches. Agentic automation shifts or allows to have, in addition to rule-based automations, to goal-based, to very deterministic, I would say, workflows that classic automation has. Agentic process automation adds goal-based and intent-based agents to it. And they can react more flexibly to the context and to the actual problem in space. I mean, they can make decisions better. They can also interact with humans in the loop. I mean, this orchestration approach is therefore also very important because at the end, what we are doing in our agentic automation platform, we are orchestrating AI agents, robots, our classic deterministic automations, humans. So this is like human users that are interacting both with agents or with traditional automation and workflows. We are orchestrating in a one-on-one platform. And this is exactly the I would say that the two things. I mean, agentic process automation adds additional value to traditional RPA automation, but it's not just adding. We also need an orchestration layer, and this is also something that we believe is very important in our modern office.
And so when we're talking about businesses, I think there's three areas that you mainly focus on, which is discovering opportunities, automating more, and supercharging productivity. Are you able to just dig into what robotic process automation and agentic process automation means for these businesses that you work with? Like what are they actually doing with this new functionality, and why is it an improvement on what they were doing before?
Yeah. So at the end, it's like, let me try to add a few points to that. At the end, the most important part is that to offer a platform that is some sort of what we call a control agency. So agents itself, I mean, if you just take the pure play AI agent technology, we have the same topic also in any kind of Gen AI technology that we are using. They can be a little bit unreliable. I mean, the prevalent term in the market is AI models, especially Gen AI models, they can hallucinate. And if I'm now want to automate a finance process or a quite sensitive business process in my company, of course I don't want any hallucination on top of my automation. I don't want to make an AI. I don't want to have an AI agent that takes a decision that I don't trust. So trust is important in that space. So it means coming back to this idea is to offer a control agency, a platform that is a control agency that combines on the one hand side agents, but also gives them a framework, an enterprise-grade framework to govern, to control, and of course to still have the deterministic part of the platform that I called before. The traditional automation part is still very, very valid, especially for highly repetitive and sensitive processes where I basically need a very deterministic behavior. But combining both of them and also combining this with something like a governance layer makes a lot of sense. And an important factor in that is also what we call, I mean, this enterprise readiness is one part, but humans in the loop are another part. So it's not like we are giving all the tasks and we let agents roam free. There's always a possibility, and it should be always there, if an AI component is not 100% sure on what to do, that they keep and bring the humans in the loop. And this is exactly also where in agentic automation, we can automate more. The agents can take over jobs like, hey, I'm submitting a claim to an insurance company and I missed some information. So it's not like a human who has to write me back, hey, dear Sebastian, thank you for submitting your claim, but I'm missing the two additional things. It's an agent doing that automatically. So this is very good, but there's still an opportunity to have human in the second line say, hey, if there's a very complex case and the agent doesn't know, I'm not pretty sure what to do with it, to still further, to forward the case to an actual human. And this also comes to this control agency model that we say, and especially also to this end-to-end orchestration model that I explained before, where humans, robots, and agents are orchestrated together in a one platform, and they are working closely together.
Yeah. So am I right in saying, sorry, you mentioned that with the agentic process automation, sometimes there's hallucinations occur still. Is that right? And if so, how do you minimize the impact of that?
So it's true. Let's say in any kind of Gen AI technology, hallucinations is a general problem. And how we minimize this is exactly combining the robots with a possibility to have human tasks that on the one hand side are able to control the work of agents, and at the same time also having some sort of enterprise governance features on top. So that means we can easily control which kind of data the agents get and which kind of data is also exchanged with LLM models. An important point there is also quality of data. So without having good data and also the output of any kind of AI, also deterministic rule-based systems is not very good. So what we're doing about this is really exactly this end-to-end platform approach, where we offer governance control features and we still combine agents with deterministic workflows and deterministic elements. So there is what we call an outer workflow. And in the outer workflow, you can still model like different steps and also different control steps, where either humans or deterministic rule-based systems would work hand in hand with the agents and also have the chance. Basically, you can also model validations later on.
So I think it'd be great to just learn about today, and maybe a bit more specific on the newest features to the agentic process automation. How are firms using this? Like, what examples of problems are they solving with this new tool set that you've got?
So there's some customer examples. The company Hiscox, it's an insurance company that is has around 3,000 employees, so around 100 years old. And they're using from us what we also call a combination that is communications mining. I mean, communications mining is a capability that understands large inputs of unstructured communication. That can be email inboxes, that can be chats, and so on and so on. And by using that, by having the capability to process and interpret and automate basically sentiments and extract sentiments out of vast information of unstructured communication, I mean, they could reduce the repetitive workload by 28%. I mean, they have also this claim management problem that I explained before. So I go a little bit also into claim management. It's a very good example. And in the claims team, I mean, they're about to save 480 hours for their common cycle compared to before. Another one is Flutter. It's a UK and Ireland-based company. Yeah, they also incorporate or implemented our platform. And what they did is they implemented Autopilot. Autopilot is also an agent. It's the agent that interacts as a digital assistant that interacts directly with the humans. And for them, a big problem was customer transfers. In the part of their commercial cycle. And they could actually, with the help of Autopilot, they could reduce their issue of their customer transfers. There were escalations when it didn't work, and they could reduce the escalations from 20% to 6%. Also a good example where AI and agentic technology does not just create cost efficiencies, it actually also in many use cases can directly impact something like customer happiness and so on and so on. Another big customer of ours is Intel. Intel, I think everyone knows them, global chip manufacturer. They use specialized AI models from us, and they combine like our Gen AI approach with also specialized AI models. It's also an important part of our platform to not have just generic models, but also specialized models. They use it for classifying products and classifying different material codes. What they could do is the classification that they did run. I mean, they were able to reach a 99% plus accuracy in product classification, and it also just took them 16 weeks to implement and creates a huge value for them and reducing, of course, a lot of manual steps.
And so most of these solutions, they're all sort of custom solutions for these companies. And the specialized aspect that you're talking about, does that mean you're generating specific models that how does a specialized different to the generative? That maybe is better for you.
Maybe it's good that we do a little bit of a double click on that, because it's also an elementary part, I would say, by offering AI platforms or integrated end-to-end platforms like we do. If you look at Gen AI models, they are public models mostly. Of course, you can give them context. You can use technologies like RAG, retrieval augmented generation, where you combine a publicly trained model with your private data and with specific data. But still, the Gen AI model itself is trained once, and you use the information that is there, and you can add, of course, at different sites additional information. But a Gen AI model at all time is what we call generic. It is, it's trained for many purposes, and it can do also a lot of a wide variety of things. And especially Gen AI models are very good in understanding human language and interacting with it. Besides that, there's still the possibility to train own machine learning models, own AI models, as you could also say. And this is especially done when you want to achieve for a certain task on a certain set of data that is often private or confidential for a certain company. But you have the data, you have the clean data on hand, and a specialized model can, if done rightly, achieve way higher accuracies in a certain task than any kind of generic model. And of course, it also solves the problem of I'm training this model on my private and confidential data. So this is a kind of information that any kind of publicly available model could never have. And that's also, when thinking about an end-to-end platform, the combination of specialized models, again, trained on specific tasks, on specific data, in some cases trained per customer on private and confidential data, and combining it even with generic models can both automate or solve a wide range of problems, but also solve specific problems with a very, very high accuracy. And that's the idea behind it.
Okay. And when people talk about fine tuning of a Gen AI model, that's you still wouldn't achieve anywhere near the accuracy of a specialized AI model that you develop.
You can also achieve high accuracy with fine tuning. This is also one style to do it. But also, I mean, I would say it's two ways to solve the accuracy problem. That's true. I would say it's a little bit dependent on the actual use case, and also on the data that is available. If fine-tuning or training a complete new model might yield higher accuracies, I would say it's very hard to give a generic or an absolute answer to what is the best way to solve it.
I was just curious about the time it takes in general to implement some of these solutions you're talking about. Are we talking a few months, 2-3 months? Is that sort of how you approach it?
In general, and this is also coming back to, we offer all our tooling in a low-code manner. Why do we bet so hard also on low-code? Because we believe low-code is visual programming, and visual tools are an elementary part of, on the one hand side, reducing the barrier of doing something new in the platform, and at the same time also being a big catalyst towards developer efficiency and speed of implementation. You can implement an automation and also an agentic automation on the UiPath platform in a few hours. You can do that.
Okay.
Is it something that then solves all the edge cases and so on? Maybe not. It might take a few days more. But if everything is in place and if our customers also know what they do, the implementation time itself can be just a few days in the usual case. But of course, it can also be longer, especially it's like if you want to mature it over time. I mean, this is also something that our customers often do. I mean, they create a version 1, they test it over time, and then they create a version 2, and then over time. Both the deterministic parts and the non-deterministic parts get better. And the same also applies for training specialized AI models. I mean, if all the data is already curated and it's in place, the actual training isn't that long. But often it's an iterative approach where, you train a model, you try to still increase, or you try to improve then over time your training pipeline, for example. You try to do better data curation beforehand, and so on and so on. So this is also why you get results very quickly with our platform, but also very often our customers use an iterative approach. They release something and then they look at it again after they collected some real-life data, which is, I think, a very good approach.
And so it's already fully automating tasks that a human would have done. So my question would be, how good are these models getting and how far can it go? Will the enterprises of the future have most of their tasks fully automated with humans overlooking some of the more complex areas, or at least deciding maybe what the agents are working on, things like this?
Of course, hopefully all enterprises invest a lot into automation and also using AI for running their business processes, because the potential is big. I mean, we did an Agentic AI report where we interviewed IT executives in the US, and 90% of the executives we did interview already stated today that their businesses would benefit from AI. And 77% of the participants of the US companies, they said, we're going to invest this year in implementing agentic AI solutions and AI solutions for making our business or improving our business this year. And this is exactly the reality today. So we see most companies already today are starting to implement. It's not like it's far out in the future. It's something that is happening today. I believe also, there will be some laggards in the market out of various reasons, but the business potential and the efficiency gains, the increase in customer value and customer perception, the gain of speed in your process that you gain, all the benefits. I guess also that all companies are driven by efficiency and also driven by providing as high value as possible. I think there's no way around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does feel like
agentic automation and automation in general in a company.
It does feel like we're at an inflection point where many enterprises are starting to understand the value of it, obviously, because they want to derive more efficiency with less costs. And I think it's one of those moments in time where it suddenly will start to happen very quickly. People have to compete with other companies that might be implementing these AI solutions that drives down their costs.
It's true. Also frankly, there's a hype in AI. We should neglect that. There's right now AI and agentic AI is quite hyped in the market. I would see the hype is beneficial because it helps. It brings a lot of companies that they really start to think hard about how can we use new technology to run our business better. Of course, also in the current phase, companies also they don't only make positive experiences with that. Some of them might also learn on what does not work with AI, because the perception of AI is, of course, very high in the market right now. And this is a good phase to be. The business opportunity is high, both for companies who implement it, but also for vendors, or not only for software vendors or platform vendors like UiPath, but also for companies who help other companies to find the right approach to an AI-centered IT or process strategy. And this is something that I'm very excited about right now.
And there's another question about, so if a lot of these tools are making decisions for the enterprises, how do you keep control of, making sure they're making the right decisions? Because I can imagine, if it's a huge amount of decisions getting made every day, it's very easy to not be on top of it. So how do you build in systems to manage that, to make sure they're operating in line with a framework that you've decided?
A bit, and I think a part of it we discussed a little bit earlier already in our chat. Let me try to let me try to summarize the most important points in that area. First of all, whatever we do matters most. So when the input, and this both applies to deterministic approaches as well as AI-based approaches, if the input is not good, the output can never be better. So that applies, and for AI, it even matters more, because AI models take easier intake way more data than a deterministic model can do. Especially, they can intake a lot of unstructured information. But we still encourage, and that's exactly where this orchestration approach matters, we still encourage businesses to maintain humans in the loop at the crucial points. Not saying everything an agent does or an AI model does or an automation does should be double checked by humans. That doesn't make sense. Then we don't have automation. But there might be crucial points and crucial elements where you, from time to time, either aggregate what was done automatically and then report it. This is something that you also can do with our platform, for example. But you could also say, hey, I'm implementing thresholds. Like, hey, my AI agent can automatically clear incoming invoices up to an amount of, let's say, 10,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
If it's above 10,000 pounds, I need to have a human in the loop to approve the clearing of the invoice, for example. So things like this are also how we encourage our customers to think about this. Exactly like put humans in the loop, but also make it as a precondition, and make it also based on even every kind of prediction a model does comes also with an accuracy. So you can also say, hey, and this is also the basis for what we call escalations of an agent. If the accuracy of my prediction of my decision is very high, it can clear, but if the accuracy is like below a certain threshold, I need to escalate it to a human.
And how complex are the tasks that either the robotic process automation or the agentic process automation are dealing with? Like, are they dealing with really complex things now? Or is it still the sort of more admin-y tasks that are repetitive?
So the tasks and also the process to automate can span from very complex to also very simple. Of course, the biggest value of not the biggest value, I would say the lowest hanging fruit is always automating the highly repetitive stuff, still with AI, automating the highly repetitive stuff that occurs a lot. This is the lowest hanging fruit that also creates the highest immediate value. But nevertheless, we can automate, especially with orchestration and our long-running process. We can even implement complex, multi-step, long-running processes in our platform that are then, being executed and automated step by step. Both actually exists, and also AI allows us even to go into, I would say, more the unstructured world, to do processes like security audits with images and so on and so on. And these can be things that are not simple and not like something that is just a few lines of code. But still, the lowest hanging fruit is also where most of the customers start, and also where most of the industries you will see a higher rate of automation is where there's high frequency, because that's the lowest hanging fruit that also unlocks quickest the highest value for those customers.
Yeah, okay, got you. But you could assume over time, they start, as they get comfortable with the lowest hanging fruit, they'll build on more advanced procedures. How?
I think this is also how most companies do it. They first take the lowest hanging fruits, they unlock the value, and
They're
then
probably all
attacking
scared
the
of
extra
what
complexity.
happens initially, just to test it
Of
first.
course,
Yeah.
of course.
Um, and how? So I was going to ask you how big you think the potential market size for AI-driven automation, because I'm assuming it could be incredibly large. Like, how big do you perceive it from where you stand today, being on top?
There's a research example, for example, from McKinsey. They estimate that the long-term AI opportunity could be reaching 4.4 trillion US dollars in added productivity for the corporate world. And also, according to the study, 92% of companies plan to increase their AI investments over the next 3 years. This is happening. So this just gives you a little bit of an understanding of the opportunity that is out there. I think that's also why the topic is very hot right now, also in everyone's mind, because the value is large. Again, not only for the companies who implement those solutions in efficiency gains and value they create by that, but of course also for vendors like us, for UiPath, who help companies and to provide this kind of agentic automation solutions to our customers.
And who do you think are going to be the key beneficiaries of AI, and even if it's both industries and maybe the sort of areas in companies?
Yeah.
I mean, we probably discussed there's probably the more admin areas first, but are there specific industries that you think will benefit the most, or even be the early adopters?
So the early adopters and the biggest beneficiaries are the one who have the highest potential efficiency gains. It's the one, usually they have very high volume processes. That is telco, like a typical telco provider has millions of customers. Their invoice run every month. It's just number of customers times contracts is the number of invoice runs they do per month. Just imagine that.
That's crazy.
Same goes for manufacturing or healthcare, especially manufacturing that has also high volume goods that are produced. Healthcare the same. Healthcare, and that goes then also into the banking and insurance market. Part of our biggest customers are banks and the financial industry and the insurance companies, because yes, they have how many customers an insurance company has or a bank has, and they also have high volume processes, and anything they can take off of a high volume process is unlocking immediate large value. And interestingly, it's also governments. Of course, we would hope that all our governments get a little bit more efficient over the world, but there is a huge interest also from public sector and from governments who say, hey, yes,
you've seen
my tax authority.
I was just going to say, you've seen traction in the public, so governments are starting to use this sort of stuff already.
Of course.
Yeah.
Our current customers are government bodies.
That's great. Yeah, I didn't know that specifically, so that's interesting. Really interesting. And the future vision, where do you think this is going to go? What's next on top of agentic AI, or like how far does automation go in the future? Have you got any thoughts about that being so close to it?
I mean, first of all, we still need to scale agentic automation into our customer base. I mean, agentic AI is the newest kid on the block, and I think the task for the next 2-3 years is to unlock as much value as possible with agentic orchestration and agentic automation in our customer space. So this is, I would say, the immediate focus is make agentic AI and agentic orchestration a value reality for our customers. And this is something where I would say is the more short and midterm focus. What comes afterwards, we will see. I mean, definitely the capabilities of the AI models will massively increase. Also, what they will be able to do. A nice trend already today is, and this is also something that we are very passionate about, is, I mean, large language models, as the name says, they started with textual text-based tasks. The early use case had been I can summarize a text, or can generate a text, or I can generate code or something like that. Now all those models get way stronger in not only just text, but image and even video and so on and so on. A very nice emerging technology right now, using models to understand computer screens and also to understand and being able actually to navigate and to use computers and to use like a human would sit in front of a screen to use it. And this is, for example, also a nice trend that I also perceive will scale quite a lot. And there will come more like this that we don't even see yet. Maybe.
So yeah, I mean, that is interesting. So they'll have contextual relevance of how to use a computer, and then we'll be able to use multiple areas of it. That is really interesting.
I guess this will also continue, like video, like images, maybe also speech at some point in time.
Yeah.
At some point in time, it's like I might speak in a certain language and you might speak in another, and we can still understand each other. real time.
Yeah. Lastly, I wanted to ask: do you think in the future there'll be organisations that typically would have been gigantic, 10,000 people? I mean, that's a bit extreme, but maybe we'll have a lot more tech companies that are ran by 4 or 5 people, but actually service a huge amount of customers because they get so much leverage through automation.
I mean, this is definitely the what we also hope that automation will bring us. That companies can scale better and quicker.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty confident this will be the case. Not far away in the future. I mean, in some areas it is already today. We have customers today that have we have customers today that build over 1,000 automations.
Wow.
And they can serve quite a lot of customers with a very efficient staff.
Amazing. I mean, the possible benefit for consumers out there or businesses is that I assume there'll be a bit of a price war if as automation allows people to be much more efficient. We'll see. Thanks, Sebastian. It's been great to go over AI more holistically, but also autopilot and everything at UiPath. Yeah, I recommend everyone to go check out UiPath, a really interesting company. Maybe there's some use cases at the companies that you work for. So check that out. Sebastian, anything else you'd like to leave with the community?
First of all, thanks, Ed, for having me. For me, it's the main part is I just want to motivate everyone to have a good look at agentic automation and the value that agentic AI brings to us. And each and every one of you starts to build their own agent, their first agent in the company. That would be my hope, that everyone starts doing it.
Yeah. So, and to start going, do you have to? Can you just create an account and are there some simple stuff you can look at there, or do you need to? Yep, there is. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have a community edition. Everyone that has an email address can just register and start doing it.
Cool. That's brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Sebastian. That's been great.
Thank you.
I hope to have a chance to catch up again. But yeah, have a good day and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.